I'm going to start over. Welcome to the Lightning Talk session. We've got a few people signed up. If you're interested in participating in this session, you're welcome to. A Lightning Talk is about 10 minutes of your time to talk to the audience in the room, as well as to talk to the live stream and recorded audience. You're welcome to pitch your idea, share your thoughts about the impact of blockchain technology on the community. Pretty much everything is fair game, except for one thing. I do ask you to be respectful that when your 10 minutes is up, that you graciously cede the floor and let someone else speak. Make sense? All right, let's get started. I was like, where'd Jake go?
I guess I'll use the hand. Hi, I'm Jacob Gedekian, and I'm with Drone Energy. And what we do is we build Bitcoin mines around sources of stranded or otherwise very cheap electricity. So I'd like to show you our mine and kind of give you a little idea about it before I jump into how I got into RCON and what RCON has to do with all this. So, all right, here is our mine. It's in a shipping container, and it's a fairly mobile affair. One thing I should probably mention is that the next mine that we're building is going on top of a mountain. The reason the mine is going on top of the mountain is because there's a gas well on this mountain, but there's no market for the gas in the well. Nobody can use it because it's up on a mountain. So we're going to put a generator on the mountain and put a Bitcoin mine on the mountain and mine Bitcoin there. There are a number of other similar opportunities. The biggest one that I'd like to mention today is situations where natural gas is flared off in part of the oil drilling process. So that's another opportunity to capture really low-cost energy. Now, I'll take a little step back. About 2 months ago, let's see. This fellow here, Dan Magnashevsky, when I told him that I was looking into running validators for Drone, said, oh, RCON needs validators. Why don't you look at RCON? And so I began coming to the Tuesday node operator sessions and met Kelly and got more and more involved in this really cool project. RCON, for us, I think it's been a lot of fun. And operating a validator is kind of a bit of a hedge against mining. We're even looking to put validators inside of shipping containers. Now, the thing that brings all of this together is a project we've been calling Citadel. Citadel is a smart contract that tokenizes the output of a Bitcoin mine. So basically, it would allow us to programmatically pay out to people's balances proportionally. So, if there were 20 Citadel tokens and you had 10 and you had 10, each of you would get half of the mine's output. But part of the reason why we would want to use a smart contract to do this at all is so that those tokens are tradable. You started with 10, you started with 10, you sold 5 to him, and you sold 5 to him. And now that mine is getting split up in quarters. Now, we can't magically make these two blockchains play together perfectly. So the way that this would work is a weekly payment of Bitcoin from the mine. Our software would read the contract state, which contains balances and Bitcoin addresses. So you can think of it as a very simple token contract that also stores Bitcoin addresses. The reason it stores Bitcoin addresses is, of course, so that we can pay Bitcoin to the token holders. Now, each mine is fairly capital intensive. And one of the things that Citadel would allow us to do is create a token for each mine's unique situation. Each mine has different energy pricing. It's not consistent. It's not always the same. Each mine may have different equipment. Every couple of weeks, there's a new miner released, and each mine may mine different currencies. Mostly we mine Bitcoin, but we're interested in Zcash as well. And there's some Litecoin in the mix too. So with that, I'm going to kind of ask if anybody has any questions about Citadel and maybe its use of RChain. Yes, sir. We think so. No, absolutely. There most likely are. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here talking about it, is to kind of begin to flesh this out more. Because most likely in the United States, this represents a security. That's correct. Which is not the end of the world. Right. No, absolutely.
Is it though a security though if you're trading a token and not an option or a potential?
Well, that token, in this case, that token represents a piece of something, right? Which is, I'm not aware, but.
Yeah, me neither.
But you know, it sounds like stock, right? It's kind of like stock, right?
Kind of like stock.
It's kind of like what a security is.
And the other thing that I think makes it a security is that, I mean, we are pretty much, what's that?
It keeps paying out against the market.
Yeah, that's correct. That's the point I was thinking.
Right. So, I mean, maybe you can structure it in such a way where it's, you know, properly, so it's not considered security. You know, maybe there's a way to structure it.
There could be, you know, and this is kind of where we are in creating this thing.
And I'm sure this will come up with any other project that tries to tokenize.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's not an uncommon problem.
True. So that's the plan, though. We're going to. Let me describe the process of using Citadel real quick, and then I'm probably finished. So the process is a bit like this. You identify a source of electricity. You create a prospectus around that source of electricity, including things like what's the price of the electricity, what is the exact source of the electricity, what's the climate like in the area, what equipment are you going to use in the mine. You know, this box here is, you know, positively stuffed with miners that are, I don't know, bigger than a bread box. They're like this. You know, there's 280 of those in there. And so one of the things we would include in the prospectus is what equipment would actually go in the mine. That equipment has different prices, different rates of return, and different currencies are able to be mined with different equipment. So that's our goal with Citadel. Thank you all very much, and if there are any other questions, I would very gladly take them. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot.
All right, Mr. Weisberger. Can I help you set up?
I thought I was last.
Oh, you're not last. You weren't first.
Okay. Do I want the, oh,
All right,
I
take
don't
a
know if I
look.
want that one.
Either one is fine.
Okay. Well, I apologize for not being better prepared. What I was going to talk about today was the RChain. The RChain decentralized budgeting and reward system, aka the bounty system, and it's been a great point of detention, of contention for many of the people in the cooperative, and but it's really a landmark system in decentralized budgeting and reward system that's almost working well. And there aren't systems in existence that support decentralized budgeting and rewards well. I guess Inspiral has a co-budget system. It works in certain circumstances, but it's not decentralized in the sense that we are in RCON. And I started working on the purpose here, and we're looking to create value for RCON, engaging members, and really engaging with members and onboarding them onto the RCON culture of working together cooperatively to add value to RCON. Fostering the Rock Marketplace, I guess it'll be the Rev Marketplace soon, and getting us in the community to start using our own money. And I think, you know, the point 4 here I didn't get around to putting in. Really, it would be giving people credit for their contribution to RCON. I mean, it's nice to get a thank you. But, I mean, we have our own treasury that, you know, whether or not it could be sold on the market is a way that we can give credit to people. I'm retired. I know I'm not here to make money. But, you know, that, you know, I'm not paid through the bounty system. I'm on a statement of work. But that I'm getting some credit for the value that I add to RCON is a big plus. And I think that, you know, people cite things like Wikipedia or whatever where everybody contributes for free because they want to. That's great. But, you know, our situation isn't the same here. I mean, we have things that need to be done because, you know, and it's not a case where they're coming into something that's already complete and they're adding a little value here and a little value here. You know, we're building this up from the ground up. We're bootstrapping it. One of the things that the bounty system has been working on and doing is onboarding, and we produced a couple of videos on becoming an RCON member and getting started. And and this is the script area here, and so the bounty system works off of GitHub, and anybody can come in and they can enter an issue on GitHub. They don't have to participate in the bounty system. They can, so they get a GitHub account, they go into the issues, and they can see the issues are tagged with labels. They can see the recent issues and click on labels of topic areas they're interested in, and join the team or participate in the comments. And if they want to, they can become part of the bounty system in resolving the issues. The next thing would be the rewards app, which has recently gotten a big facelift. where you see the GitHub issues, you log in and you verify your co-op ID by logging in through authenticating through Discord. And and I think I'll just talk about it here. Each issue is, we encourage their teams to work on the issue and deliver value. And we had problems in the beginning where people did translations that weren't useful. And now we, include a team of people that actually deliver the translations to eyeballs or the product to eyeballs, so that so that it creates a value for our chain. And what happens is people come in out of the wage slave mentality of the current system, and they need to be reacclimated to cooperative work and paying each other and paying ourselves, and in a reasonable manner. And we use the bounty system or the rewards.rchain.coop system. We also use spreadsheets where we, excuse me, we consider the effort of different people on the team, what their reward should be, and come up with percentages of the bounty, we then vote on in the bounty system. And then there's a guide system on top of this, depending on the area of the bounty. Guides review it, and they come in and vote on it. There's the trust metric, which is an avocado trust metric system, which is attack resistant, where we have the task committee, which is assigned by the board, that chooses the routes for the trust metric, and then members certify each other either as apprentice, journeyer, or master. And the algorithm, and then the apprentices essentially have 1 vote, the journeyers have 3 votes, and the masters have 7 votes. And so we come up with rewards, and then we have a process that automates generating invoices every month, and then the co-op distributes ROC to the members that earned rewards. So this, we're looking to get guides that are more connected with the teams working inside the co-op, because right now we have a gap between the teams working in the co-op and the teams working on the bounties. The guides are supposed to fulfill that role, but people who are working for the co-op are too busy to get involved. And there's so much to be done. I mean, if we're going to make our chain a household word and everything, we can't just, we need to capitalize on our membership, bring them in, Oh yeah, economic participation of members is a co-op principles. And concern and care for the individual, our individual members is a co-op principle. And you know, a key factor in the success of decentralized organizations is how they interact with the members. And the bounty system is a way people can come in, they can do something, and then what usually happens, if they're good, they get a statement of work. And then they leave the bounty system. And we lose that connection. A lot of the work that's being done is with people that are just learning skills, just learning the command line and how to run nodes, learning about marketing, learning about this. But we're really, you know, education is a big part of the co-op principles. It's filling so many roles in the co-op that can help build a community that it's really worth more people getting involved and guiding the system. And questions?
Yeah, I will say from the development team perspective, the bounty program has been fantastic.
Yes.
You know, we found very, you know, talent where we didn't expect to, and talent in a way that, you know, were things that couldn't be a full-time position. And then developing our, you know, our developer community by having them build the platform has been really valuable.
Yes, and I mean, the developer bounty program is separate, but a lot of the people came in through the bounty system, and then they either moved on to a statement of work or got bounties on the developer side. The more talented, you know, members.
Yeah, yeah, it's been good. I really appreciate your work. Thank you. Right, Jason?
Okay.
You want to start?
Yeah, that's fine. All right, can you hear me? All right. So what I want to talk about today is that as we're all working on new technology, blockchain, things like that, different startups, we're all sort of, all these things are sort of involved in thinking about the future. And I think that the way we think about the future has a lot to do with the future that we'll end up with. You know, we're sort of building these, you know, hoping to build the future, but I don't think that if we have a clear vision of what we're trying to accomplish, that the future will necessarily be the way that we expect. And so I want to share some ideas about that. These aren't original ideas. They're, I really like Peter Thiel, read a lot of his books and watch all of his talks, and so I just want to talk about some of the ideas that I've learned from him that have had a profound impact, I guess, on the way that I think about the future. So when we think about the future, we can think about it on two different axes. I mean, there are others, but these are the important ones that I'll focus on, which is that we can either be optimistic about the future or pessimistic about the future. So either we think the future will be better than today, or we think that it'll be worse. And also, we can also think that the future is definite, meaning that we have a very clear outcome of what we think the future will be, or we can sort of have an indefinite view of the future, which means that we don't really know what's going to be, you know, sort of random. We kind of hope that it will turn out something like that. And so what we can do is turn these two ideas into a little, you know, Boston consulting matrix style thing. So on the bottom axis, over here we'll put pessimism. On the other side we'll put optimism. And over here we'll put definite. And over here we'll put indefinite. And so we have these 4 quadrants where we can combine these different ideas. And so when you think about, you know, what do these different views mean about how you would think about the future? I guess if you're an indefinite pessimist, you sort of are afraid of the future, you're not sure what's going to happen, maybe there'll be earthquakes, you know, things like that. You just sort of sort of afraid, hope that things don't get worse. Maybe they're probably going to get worse, but maybe you can avoid some of the stuff, maybe avoid some of that. If you're an indefinite optimist, then you sort of think that the future will be better, but you're not really sure why that's the case. So maybe, you want to invest in a big diversified portfolio of stocks because, some of them will turn out well. You're just not really sure which ones, but it'll definitely be better than today. If you're an definite pessimist, then you're pretty sure the future is going to be worse. You have a pretty good idea. So it's probably a good idea to save for the future. You're not really sure what's going to happen, and so, or it's going to be worse, and so you need to prepare for these bad things that are happening, sort of things like wartime rationing, these kinds of things. But on the very far right corner, we have definite optimism. And when you're a definite optimist, you have very clear ideas of what the future will be like, and you believe that it'll be better, and so you're working towards those things that need to be better. And we can sort of apply this matrix to a lot of different ideas. So you can think about, what kind of career options would you pick, or what kind of careers would you favor, depending on which of these beliefs that you hold. And so if you're maybe an indefinite optimist, maybe the future is going to be better, but you're not sure how. Maybe you want to go into finance or law, something like that, something that has a lot of options. You don't know what the future is going to be, but you know that it's going to be good, and so you want to be into one of those things to take advantage of that. If you're maybe a definite optimist, then you have very particular views of what careers that you want to have. So maybe you're going to go into engineering or science or something like that. You have very particular ideas that you want to do, and you're going to work to accomplish them. And so this matrix can also be applied to business. So I think that the way that we do business mostly reflects an indefinite optimist viewpoint. So we believe the future will be better, but we're not sure how. And the reason why I think this is because there's this story about how we discovered antibiotics. It wasn't really scientists working to discover it. It was sort of, some guy got sick from a cow or something like that, and whatever. It just sort of randomly happened that they discovered antibiotics, and so we sort of have this myth about how discovery happens, and it's all like that. You don't really know what you're looking for. You just sort of try out a bunch of things, and they hope to work out. And so in the context of business, what this looks like is you don't really know what startups or what ideas are going to work, and so you sort of build a portfolio of options. Maybe if you're seed funding, you go fund 100 different companies. You don't really know what their particular outcome will be, but you hope that some of them will turn out for the better. And I think that this describes our attitude towards business really closely. I think that's generally the way that we think about business. You don't want to commit too much to something because you're not sure how it's going to work out. But the strange thing is that these ideas are also kind of self-fulfilling. So if you believe that the future is indefinite, you kind of won't work towards any particular goals. You sort of keep your options open. You won't develop any particular convictions or anything that would lock you in, and so it sort of ends up being indefinite, just like the view that you hold. Whereas if you're definite, you'll focus on the most important things, and you'll work hard to deliver them because you know that those things will be the outcome in the future. And so it's sort of self-fulfilling in that way. I think that we can also think about these in terms of, I think that it goes all the way back to our philosophical views about the world. You could think of, maybe Epicurus. You maybe have heard of him. He's sort of an ancient Greek where his life philosophy was sort of an indefinite pessimist or indefinite optimist. We're not really sure what's going on, and so him and his buddies thought that the best style of life would be to just go and they're gonna drink and party all the time, and life is terrible, but they can have what fun they can have, avoiding all the work and things like that. Whereas Aristotle, he's maybe a definite pessimist. He sort of thinks that the world has been eternally all the same. Things haven't gotten much better for worse. Life is just how it is, and so you just need to learn to live within those confines. But maybe a definite optimist, an example would be like Descartes. Descartes had this dream where he thought about how great the world would be if we were able to apply, mathematics to all reasoning. We'd live in this mathematical world. He sort of described the world that we live in today, where where we have computers and all these things working with precise logic to do all these calculations for us, to have all these great ideas. And so he sort of had this idea and hoped that it would, this is sort of his view of the future, sort of the future that we're living in now. I guess I also want to provide more evidence for why I think that we are sort of indefinite optimists. I guess one way that you can see this is that in the early 20th century, our focus in mathematics is always on calculus. So I'm a mathematician, so I really like this example. So, maybe we have some function here. I don't know what the function is, but calculus is all about maybe finding an area in between there. And calculus is very definite. You have very particular things that you're analyzing, and you're going to get very specific answers. And so we mostly use calculus, in physics and all sorts of problems like that to analyze things. But now I'd say the shift has gone towards statistics. So we hear about all these data science jobs. We hear about, the AI is going to analyze all the big data. It's going to figure out all these business problems. It's very indefinite view of the future. And so, maybe we'll draw a bell curve, terrible bell curve. The view that statistics reflects is that we can't really understand the world. The laws are just too complicated. The best that we can do is to make some model and make a statistical guess about what it will be like and come within some margin of error. And the world is just inherently random. There's nothing that we can do. And I think that this shift in mathematics, and consequently the shift in business, sort of reflects that change in our attitudes. That, like I said, maybe the AI will look through the big data and it will figure out the business problems. Something like that. But I guess what I really believe is that if we, as people who are building a future, work on technology, focus on this third quadrant here, the definite optimist, then we'll identify specific problems that we want to solve, and we'll work really hard to fulfilling those most important things. And I think that that is the way to be successful in technology and business, and so thank you. Does anyone have any questions about what I talked about? What would I say is the RCON perspective? I'd say it fits in that definite optimist perspective. We're building a specific technology, which is sort of untested in a new territory. We're doing a lot of new things, such as proof of stake. Rolling is brand new. All these things that have never been done before, and then we have specific ideas about how they will help. I guess the one way I'd say that RCON is a little bit indefinite optimist is that we're sort of building a platform in hopes that other people will create the future on top of our platform, rather than having a specific app, I guess, in mind that this is going to solve. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah, so the platform, I guess I could talk a little bit more about that. Whenever you're building a platform, it's sort of like, I can't wait for all these other people to come in and solve all these great problems with it. And it isn't clear if you don't have a particular case that you're working on that the platform is going to help you with, that will really be the case. Okay.
Anyone else? Thank you. I'm going to go head over and listen to Paul's Scholar talk.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I really like